Today I'm reviewing a 2017 BMW X1. The X1 is a compact crossover vehicle that's been in production since 2009 but didn't find its way to the US market until 2013. It's the most affordable crossover vehicle in BMW's lineup, sitting below the X2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The first generation of the X1 lasted through 2015 and was based on the same platform as the BMW E91 3 Series station wagon, and it was rear-wheel drive oriented. For 2016, we get this all-new second generation of the X1, which is front-wheel drive oriented, and it's built on the same platform as the BMW 2 Series and the Mini Cooper. Styling-wise, the X1 is a little bit of a niche chaser. It's kind of hard to really say whether it's a station wagon or an SUV, and that was even more so the case with the first generation model. With this second generation, it still has a little bit of that car or wagon look to it, but much more of an SUV appearance than what we saw with the first generation. Part of that is because this vehicle is taller by about 1.7 inches, and then it's also 1.1 inches shorter and 0.9 inches narrower than what we saw with that first generation model. All in all, I really like the design direction that they take with the second generation when compared with that first generation model. Again, the first just looked a little bit funny because it was kind of in between being a station wagon and an SUV, and with the second generation, it's really taken on a lot more of that SUV appearance. Of course, it's also got a much more premium look than what we saw with that first generation model. Some really nice design cues throughout that really kind of make it clear that this is a BMW and bring on a little bit more of that premium edge than what you sometimes saw in the first generation X1. Starting up here at the front, it's got your typical BMW front end with the kidney grille design. I like how this specific model has that fully blacked out, and then you'll see we've got a really nice modern headlight design as well. Fog lights integrated in the lower bumper, and we've also got parking sensors that will beep to notify you if you're about to hit something. Also like this little brushed aluminum accent that we get in the lower bumper. Coming around to the side profile of the vehicle, a really nice clean look here, very sporty design. You'll notice that the front fenders are a little bit on the aggressive side, giving that athletic stance. And then we've got a pretty aggressive crease cutting through the center of the door handles to the rear of the vehicle as well. Wrapping around the window compartment, we've got a nice chrome accent, giving it that premium look. And then the mirrors also have a nice stylish blinker integrated. And we've got another nice brushed aluminum accent down below. You'll see we've got the xDrive 28i badging here. xDrive indicates that this is all-wheel drive, and then the X1 comes standard as a 28i, although the first generation model was offered in either a 28i or a 35i, 35i being a little bit more powerful, so there's certainly a chance that at some point the X1 will be offered in a more powerful configuration. Coming around to the rear of the vehicle, very similar look here to what you see with the X3 and the X5 model as far as the taillight design goes. Nice sporty premium look with how it kind of wraps into the hatch. Got the third brake light up above, aerodynamic antenna. And then you also see that on this bumper we've got those parking sensors integrated, and we've got the dual exhaust down below. The second generation of the X1 also comes standard with these 18-inch wheels. Previously on the X1, some models had kind of dinky looking wheels, and that was always one of my big complaints. I love the fact that the 18-inch wheels are now standard, and these have a really nice stylish design as well. Up top, you also see we've got the panoramic sunroof, brings a lot of natural light into both the front and rear seat of the vehicle. And then this front panel also opens up, tilt or sliding, to bring air to the cabin. And then you'll see we've also got these side rails that have a nice sleek design. What's cool about these is that you can get the BMW OEM rack attachments, or as you can see, this model has the Thule attachments. So nice sleek design to cut down on that wind noise, help with aerodynamics, but it's also easy to attach a rack if you need one. So all in all, a really great looking vehicle. I love the fact that with the second generation model, it takes on more of that SUV look than what we saw with the first generation. And then just overall, it's also got a much more premium presence. Well, as you can see, the X1's got a very attractive interior. It's a really nice premium design. It's got a functional layout, and it's a huge improvement over what we saw in the first generation of the X1. I always felt like the first generation model was a little bit outdated from the start, and that there was kind of this class system within the BMW lineup. And you went from the X1 to the X3, and you noticed this huge improvement in design, quality materials, standard options and features, and that's really toned down with the second generation model. The overall look and layout that we get here is very similar to the rest of the BMW lineup. We get a really nice level of standard options and features, and a number of really nice premium touches as well that gives the vehicle a much more high quality look and feel, even though it's still very reasonably priced. One of my favorite design cues that we get in this model is that on all four doors, we got this little trim piece here with the LED strip along the top. And it creates a very cool ambient effect inside of the vehicle, especially during nighttime driving. I also love the color combinations that we get on this model. It's got the black with the brown leather throughout. So we've got leather wrap surfaces on the door with the white stitching. Likewise, our seats are the brown leather with the white stitching. Center armrest here, center console here, and just those little touches give the vehicle a really premium look. I also love that there isn't any faux wood in this vehicle. That's a very common design cue in a number of BMWs. In place of the faux wood, we get the black insets on the door panels, center to the dash here, and we also get some really nice brushed aluminum. And they don't overdo it with the brushed aluminum. There's just little touches here and there. We've got the strip along the bottom. We've got the little accents on the vents, little wraparounds on these buttons, around the push button start, around the infotainment screen, on the gear shifter, these little knobs here, rotary knob in the middle, on the steering wheel. So just these little touches throughout that gives the vehicle a much more premium look. Now, as far as options go, the X1 does come with a really nice level of standard options and available features. We've got power windows, power door locks, power mirrors. Steering wheel's got a nice sporty design. It's tri-spoke, and it's got a sporty feel with a leather wrap surface and these little knobs on the top. Left-hand side, we've got cruise control. Right-hand side, we've got Bluetooth and audio. Instrument cluster, we've got our speedometer on the left-hand side with our fuel gauge. Right-hand side, we've got our tachometer and fuel economy information. Got our push-button start down below here. Nice, sleek key design with keyless entry integrated into the key. We've also got this screen here in the middle that can drop down into the dashboard if you want it out of view. Control a number of the vehicle settings through this central computer. This screen here interfaces with the dial down below. It's the iDrive system from BMW. It's really seen some nice improvements in more recent years, making it much more intuitive. So we've got our audio system, which has AM/FM radio, CD player. You've got a subscription service if you want satellite radio. You can also connect a device using a Bluetooth connection or a hardwire connection, and the vehicle has an awesome audio system. So very nice in that sense. We've also got Bluetooth again in the vehicle and telephone connectivity, so you can import all your contacts, place calls through the vehicle infotainment system. We've also got navigation, and you can control a number of vehicle settings through this central screen as well. Down below we've got a couple vents and our hazard lights, and we've got our 8-disc CD player, audio volume control right here, dual zone climate control system for the driver and front passenger side, and then we've also got heated seats for the driver and front passenger side. Down below here we've got this little cover that opens up, got a 12-volt outlet on the top, and then 2 cup holders down below. These cup holders are definitely a little bit on the smaller side, and you'll see that the way that the dash comes out, it kind of restricts your access to get larger cups down into those little slots. So that's definitely one kind of design flaw with this vehicle. You'll see we've got the automatic shifter here. The X1 is standard with the automatic transmission, and then it does have a manual mode if you want to manually shift. You've got a button here for turning traction control on and off. We've got a sport mode as well as Eco Pro mode. Button here for turning parking sensors on and off. We've got parking sensors on the front and rear of the vehicle that will beep to notify you if you're about to hit something. And then we've also got the standard hill descent control. Again, we've got the rotary knob here for the iDrive system and a number of shortcut buttons to get to a number of the settings on that screen. And then we've got an electronic parking brake. Center here, we've got an armrest that opens up with a little bit of storage space. And then down below that, some more storage space, auxiliary connection, and a USB outlet. Up above, we've got a self-dimming rear view mirror, a couple of reading lights, the SOS system, which is a subscription service. Basically, if you need crash assistance, towing assistance, it's a BMW system that you can subscribe to that offers some of those various services. And then we've also got a button here for controlling the panoramic sunroof. There's a screen that opens and closes to provide shading to the vehicle, and then it's also a tilt and sliding sunroof. Now, though the X1's a little bit on the smaller size as far as SUVs go, this rear seat is still very spacious. I am 5'10", and I've got the driver's seat positioned where I'd want it for driving, and as you can see, I've got more than enough legroom. I've also got plenty of headroom, and shoulder room's pretty decent as well, although if you put 3 passengers in this rear seat, it would definitely be a little bit on the tighter side. Center seat here folds down into an armrest, and it's got 2 built-in cup holders. And then another cool feature is that this rear seat does recline back in 3 sections. So you've got these little straps down below here. You just pull that strap and you can recline back. Really nice if you want to be able to take a nap in the rear seat. And then open up the door here real quick, and you'll see we've got storage space built into both of the doors as well as cup holders. Down below in the center console, we've got 2 vents and a 12-volt outlet. And then the seats back here also fold down in 3 sections. So using that same strap that we used to recline the seats and drop down the seat backs, really nice if you want to increase rear cargo area. And it's nice that we've got the functionality to fold these down in 3 separate sections. Also got a lever down below that you can use to slide the seat forward and back. So that's handy if you want to still use these seats, but you need a little bit more cargo space in the back. The X1 has a powered rear liftgate, so we can open that with the push of this button here. If you've never experienced a powered liftgate, they are a very handy feature to have. In the back here, despite the small size of the X1, it's got plenty of rear cargo space. And you'll see we've got a 12-volt outlet built in over here on the passenger side. Some little storage space on both sides. And then another cool feature is that we've got these little buttons on both sides that we can pull on to drop down these rear seat backs. And so rather than having to go up to the front, if you've got a large object that you're sliding in back here, just pull that switch to drop those down. And you'll see that with those down, we've got a lot of additional cargo space. The X1 is offered with a 2-liter twin-turbo inline 4-cylinder that's got 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. That's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. All-wheel drive models will do 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds, and a front-wheel drive model is going to take slightly longer at 6.6 seconds. The EPA rating on an all-wheel drive model is 22 miles per gallon in the city and 31 miles per gallon on the highway. Front-wheel drive models are going to do 23 miles per gallon in the city and 32 miles per gallon on the highway. The X1 also comes standard with a hill descent control system, and the X-Drive all-wheel drive system that's optional on the vehicle is very advanced. It's got the ability to send up to 100% of power to the rear wheels, making it a very capable vehicle in inclement weather. Well, the X1 is a really great vehicle to drive all around. I was actually a little bit skeptical that this 2nd generation model would be as much fun to drive as the 1st generation because, again, they went from rear-wheel drive oriented to front-wheel drive, and generally rear-wheel drive vehicles are more fun to drive. But this vehicle is still a blast to drive, and it's got really great driving dynamics. And that's something that I really find to always hold true with BMWs. They brand themselves as being the ultimate driving machines, and sometimes some of that branding isn't really all that accurate with how a vehicle actually drives, but I find that it almost always is with BMWs. They really are great driver's vehicles. They're very planted, they're very stable, great handling, and the X1 is no exception to that. It's got really great feel all around. The steering offers a nice connection with the road. The vehicle, again, just feels very planted around the corners. And then, of course, it's also very powerful. And despite the fact that this only has a 2-liter 4-cylinder, it's got that twin turbo. And so there's a little bit of a delay, but once those turbos kick in, this vehicle is incredibly quick. It's also a luxury car. It's very smooth, it's quiet, it's comfortable, and it's a great vehicle for that day-to-day drive or for those longer road trips. Hear that twin turbo kicking in? It is very quick. I personally love turbos. Some people don't like them because you get a little bit of turbo lag, but I love the fact that you get that delayed response, and once it kicks in, it just throws you back. And then of course turbos are also great because they're really good for fuel economy. So, you know, when that turbo is engaged, you're gonna be burning through that fuel, but for most, you know, day-to-day driving, unless you're really pushing hard on the pedal, that turbo's not really gonna be engaging and you're not gonna be burning through fuel quite as quickly. Now, once I start to get on some of these windier sections of road, traveling at higher speeds, I can definitely start to feel some of the shortcomings of this being a front-wheel drive oriented vehicle. It still is a great vehicle all around in terms of handling, but it may be lacking a little bit when compared with that prior generation. But besides that, it's still a really great vehicle to drive all around. Very impressed with the second generation model from a driving standpoint. So that's a look at the second generation model of the BMW X1, a very nice vehicle all around and a huge improvement over what we saw in the first generation. I like how this second generation model takes on a lot more of an SUV appearance, and then it also has a much more premium presence than what we saw with the first generation. Likewise, jumping inside of the vehicle, a really nice improvement to the cabin. The design is much more attractive than the first generation, a much better level of standard options and features as well as available add-ons. It's got much higher quality materials and just some really nice premium touches that gives this that BMW feel, something that was kind of lacking in the first generation. Likewise, this vehicle is very powerful, it's very fuel efficient, and all around just a very practical vehicle. The X1 is definitely worth your consideration if you're looking to get into an affordable luxury vehicle. If you have any comments or questions on the X1, leave them in the section below. For more car reviews, be sure to subscribe. In the meantime, thanks for watching.